This is the second intermediate video on tables in Apple Pages. We will create a travel packing list and a glossary. You can get all the files and summary of steps for each section in my Etsy store. How do you convert text or a list into a table? I have a travel packing list here in 2 columns. I can just copy it, add any table, select the top left cell, and paste the list there. You can see Pages created 93 table rows to accommodate our list data. What about converting a table back to a list? If I copy a table column and try a regular paste, it just creates another table, even if I use paste and match style. So the workaround is to add a text box, then paste the table information into it. Enter the text box, copy the text from there, then paste it outside the text box into the document body. Now the list has converted nicely into a plain text. Afterward, you can just delete the text box since you no longer need it. Another thing people frequently need to do is bring an Excel or Google Sheets table into Pages. Open the Excel file and copy your table. Then go to Apple Pages and do a regular Command plus V to paste it. Don't use paste and match style here, as your information will paste as a plain text, unless that's actually what you're trying to do. Let me copy some US regional population data from an Excel into Pages. First, I will update the heading row's text color. Now, if I go to the Formatting sidebar, select the Table tab, and try applying one of the table styles, nothing happens. The table doesn't change. Why? Because the colors you see in a table style represent what the top header, column header, and footer rows would look like. Right now, my new table doesn't have any headers or footers assigned yet, so applying a style doesn't change anything. The Apple Pages default styles are fine, but let me show you a neat trick for finding more interesting color combination. Here are a few 2026 color theme ideas I downloaded from the internet. You can create a table style from an image. Just take your image and drag it onto the table styles area. Now, when I select my table and click the first newly created style from that color palette, my data rows change, but the header, column header, and footer don't, again because I haven't assigned those yet. Scroll down to the headers and footers section and select the number of header columns, header rows, and footer rows. Now you can see the table style matches my table. However, one of my data rows got assigned as a footer by mistake. So to fix it, I will add a row below it with some source information. Then change the footer row count from 2 to 1. If I try to merge the footer across the columns, notice that when I select the row and right-click, there's no merge option. That's because you can't merge an entire row. You can only merge the cells within it. So instead, select just the cells in that row and right-click to get the Merge Cells option. Now that I have my column headers, row headers, and footer assigned in the table, I can apply any of the table styles without an issue. How do you find these color theme ideas? Go to Google and search for color themes. Then save the color combinations you like as images. You can also search for nice-looking Excel table designs and save those as images for reference. I found 5 different table ideas I liked, and I'm going to add them to my Apple Pages table styles. Make sure your table is selected so the Table Styles panel shows up. Then drag your saved images onto the Table Styles area. Now I will test out these color themes on my US population table. You can also copy a table from the internet and paste it into Pages. If you're having trouble moving your table around, it was probably set up as inline with text as default. Go to Arrange tab and change it to Text Wrap, Automatic, or Above and Below so you can move it freely. If the table's formatting changes as a result, select it and adjust the width and/or height under the Arrange tab. You can easily rearrange rows and columns in a Pages table. Just select a row and drag it to a new position. I'm going to make a few more formatting changes to this new US CPI table. To evenly distribute the columns, select the table, right-click, and choose Distribute Columns Evenly. To increase or decrease the font size across the whole table, select the table, then use the Font Size option under the Table tab in the sidebar. You can also copy and paste cell styles between tables. First, select the cell with the style you like and press Option plus Command plus C to copy the style. Then select the cells you want to apply it to and press Option plus Command plus V to paste the style. If the cell has multiple styles, only one will be pasted. I'm going to copy and paste another US state population table from Excel and format it a bit. To adjust column size to fit the data, double-click a column or row border to auto-fit it to the text. To see all pages in your document, select the Page Thumbnails option in the top left corner. To view 2 pages at once, use the Document Zoom option in the top right. Make sure to also select Fit Page at the bottom if the document resizes. To move the table onto the next page, click your cursor just before the table and press Return a few times. Convert the first row into a header, then select Repeat Header Rows on each page, so the row headings appear on every page the table spans. Right now, the table is positioned on the right side of the page. If I try using the alignment option under text, it won't center the table. It will only change the alignment of the text inside the table. The first thing you need to do is go to Arrange tab, change Table Placement to Stay on Page. Then adjust the X and Y position. You can also use the Align option here to center the table. One issue with this approach though, it can cut off tables. It works fine for smaller tables, but not longer ones. I can try changing it to move with text instead, then selecting the table, click outside it, then drag it to a new position on the left. I have less control, but I was able to place it where I wanted. Now I will apply the pink table style to my table and assign header and footer rows. If you're wondering how many rows your table has, check under the Table tab for the row count. Mine has 54 rows across 2 columns. At this point, I have 2 tables using the pink table style. I'm going to change the cell text to black in my first table and change the yellow column header text to white. Now when I go to Table Styles and right-click, I see several options. Since I made text changes in my first pink table, if I select Clear Overrides and apply style, it reverts the table back to the original pink table style. If I instead want the pink table style itself to be updated with the text changes I made, I will select Redefine Style from Selection. At this point, Pages notices there are two tables in my document using that table style and asks if I want to update both with the text changes or just the one. If I choose yes, both tables now use the updated pink table style with black and white text. At any point, you can also delete a table style from your templates. Let's create a finished, ready-to-use table for this video in Apple Pages, a travel packing list. I will copy the list from my Excel file, then do a regular Command+V to paste it into the document and get a starting table going. First, I want to strip the table of its default formatting and colors. I will remove alternating row colors, then remove the row and column grid lines. Notice the other three grid line types are grayed out. Since my table doesn't have any row or column headers or footer yet. The first option controls grid lines in body columns, the second in body rows, and the remaining three control grid lines in headers and footers. I will also remove the color fill, which basically makes the table transparent instead of white. It looks white because the document page underneath is white, but that's not the same as the cells actually being filled white. To strip out any remaining formatting, go to the Cell tab and under Border, select No Border. So now I have a completely stripped down table ready to format however I like. I will add plain black borders to all cells at 0.5 point thickness. I will also update the text across the whole table to Centric Gothic at 9 point. Now I will make sure I have 3 columns. Another quick way to adjust font size across your table is to bump every cell's font size up or down by the same amount, using the increase and decrease controls under the Table tab. This keeps the size differences between cells intact. Since I want to build a checklist in Pages, there are actually 2 ways to do that. The first way, if your list is already in the document as text, highlight it, go to Text, and under Bullets and List, select Bullets. Then under Type, choose Image Bullets. Pick a checkbox image or import your own. From here, you can adjust the checkbox image's size, alignment, and indent. Then go through your list manually and remove any checkboxes that ended up next to headings. The second way to create a checklist is with shapes. I will place my cursor in the document body, go to Insert, Shapes, and choose a square. First, I will style the shape with no fill and a thin border. Then resize it into a checkbox. Once I'm happy with it, I can copy it and paste it into a cell of a table. Before I do that, I will add a column before my list to hold all the checkboxes. You can select multiple table cells and press Command+V to paste the checkbox into multiple cells at once. The checkbox shape in your column is treated as text, so it can be aligned using the same text alignment options. I will keep adding checkboxes next to each item on my travel packing list. Another way to copy cells data is to hover over one of its borders until a circle appears. Then drag it in the direction you want to copy. I will add 2 more columns, giving me 3 columns for checkboxes and 3 columns for my travel packing list. I can copy and paste the checkbox column into my newly added columns. Then adjust the column sizes to fit the checkboxes. To evenly resize the 3 checkbox columns, select them individually while holding Command. Then under the Table tab, go to Row and Column Size and manually test different widths. I will do the same with my list text columns. Now I will start formatting my packing list, removing, merging, and cleaning up the text. I will reorganize the list from a single column into a 3-column layout. You can cut and paste sections from one area to another using Command plus X, then Command plus V to paste. If I just use regular copy and paste, I will end up with duplicates in my table. So cut and paste is the cleaner option here. Now I'm left with a lot of empty rows. I will select them all, right-click, and delete the multiple rows. I want to fit the travel packing list onto one page, so I will adjust the font, column widths, and row heights to get there. After a bit of work, I got it to fit on one page. Great! Now I will go through all the headings, merge each across 2 cells, center the text, and add a fill color to emphasize the different packing sections. I also want to show you what happens when you merge multiple rows into one. The text from each row stacks up as its own line inside that single merged cell. The final travel list is looking pretty good now. Let me show you a couple more table features in Apple Pages. Tables have an autofill option. Once you start typing, previously used entries show up as suggestions. If you want to make this list more visually interesting, drag an image on top of it. Just make sure the image's text wrap is set to None under the Arrange tab, or it won't sit over the table. You can also drag images into individual table cells and resize them to fit. If I had the space, I could add different images in the cells next to each category. You can also add an image underneath your table. Add the image, then under Arrange, change Text Wrap to None. Notice though that the image shows through the table, because I set the table's fill to no fill instead of white, so the table's actually transparent. To fix that, I will add a white fill back to the cells so the table stays readable over the image. To control the layering of images, select one, right-click and choose Bring to Front or Send to Back. Finally, you can add a background image to all your pages. Select the document icon in the top right corner, go to the Section tab, and under Background, select Image Fill. You will get a recent image or a default background to start. To change it, select Replace, choose a location, and find your image file. If the image doesn't cover the entire background, try the different layout options. Original size, stretch, tile, scale to fill, or scale to fit. Play around with them to find the best fit. One more thing you may want to adjust is the image's opacity. Go back to the background settings for your document and select Advanced Image Fill. From there, you can also add a color overlay to reduce the image's opacity. And here is my final travel packing list with a background image. It makes for a great list to print, take with you, or share. The next type of table I want to show you how to create in Apple Pages is a glossary. There are a couple of ways to create a glossary, but using a table is one of them. Here I have an Excel table with terms and definitions. I will copy it and paste it into Apple Pages. Then I will switch to viewing the document as 2 pages. First, I will update the font in my table to Centric Gothic. Under the Table tab, I will remove the alternating row color that were assigned automatically. One great reason to build a glossary as a table is that you can sort the rows alphabetically. To sort the glossary terms, right-click the column and choose to sort in descending or ascending order. Notice the definitions get sorted along with the terms automatically. I didn't have to select them separately. However, there's one problem. My term and definition title row got sorted along with everything else. To fix that, I will undo the previous action, select the title row, and convert it into a header. Once that's done, sorting will skip the header rows going forward. Now I will make the glossary look more modern and less like a plain table. First, I will right-align the terms for a more interesting look. Next, I want to add a bit more breathing room before the definitions start. So I will add a first line and left indent under the Text tab. The default indent amount is too much, so I will manually set it at 0.05 inches. To even out the row heights, I will select the table, right-click and choose Distribute Rows Evenly. Next, I will remove any remaining grid lines and borders in the table. Then under the Cell tab under Border, I will add a slight dash border on the right side of my terms and change its color. You can also add a right indent to the terms to create some space between the text and the border. Since it's already clear which column has the terms and which has the definitions, I will delete the first row. Then I will add a table title and change its font color to make it stand out. Next, I will make sure the vertical alignment for the terms and definition is set to middle. I will increase the row height, then add a column to the left of the terms to mark where each new letter begins. I will keep adding letters to mark where the terms change, then widen the definitions column. And at this point, the glossary looks pretty great compared to where we started. I can also save this file as a template, so it's easy to reuse whenever I need to build a glossary for other documents. To do that, go to File, Save as Template. Choose Add to Template Chooser and give it a name. Now when I create a new file and scroll down to my templates, my glossary template is right there, ready to use. You can find all these and more tables in my Etsy store. Thanks so much for watching.